Hey guys, welcome. So today we are talking all about starting seeds and the American dream, or my interpretation of the standard American dream is more it's the American nightmare. So today I am sitting out in my greenhouse. We just recently added this to our homestead and it is an awesome tool for over the winter. This is something that we've wanted to add for quite a while, and there was somebody who was fairly local to us getting ready to move, and they put this up on a local buy and sell group, and we just jumped on it. So super excited about this. And I was asked about how I typically start my seeds. Hey Bria, it's good to see you. So normally I would start seeds in a system like this. I've been gardening for about 11 years now, and I've had this same system all along. So it's a multi-layered system here. It's got, this is a water reservoir. It has a little tray that the seeds sit upon. This is a capillary mat. This is where the seeds actually, you pack these full of soil and then put your seeds in there, and it's got a little greenhouse cover. And I've been using these same trays for 11 years now, and they're holding up. There's some wear and tear on it here. So you can see where some of the sides here have been broken off. So hey Darlene, I'm so glad that you made it. So this has been my go-to system, and I'm still going to use these. I love them. They're easy to pop out, so when your seeds are ready to transplant, you just poke them from underneath. And then I frequently will take them from here and then transplant them into 4x4 squares and then transplant them into my garden. And it's a fair amount of work. You've got to be on top of it. You got to make sure you catch your little seedlings before they get too big and they're outgrowing this system. And so there's some effort and labor involved in moving it from that system to another system. So with our new greenhouse, we're essentially duplicating that system, but on a larger scale. So we've got our greenhouse up above. And so my husband built me these two raised beds this week. I am super excited about them. And I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Jess over at Roots and Refuge, but she had this brilliant system where she uses these containers. And so same philosophy, as you set it on top of your little seedlings, it makes like a greenhouse type environment. One thing about this though is, unlike my system, it doesn't have a capillary mat, so you would have to remember to remove it and water underneath. So sometimes I'm really good at starting things. I'm not always great at maintaining them. So I'm going to have to watch myself with this system, but I thought I'd give it a shot. So, and I'm always an experimenter. I love to try things and put them against some other control and see how they do. So my plan was to do part of my bed with these covers, and then do part of my bed without, and just see how they compare. And then I was going to start the exact same seeds in my normal seed starting system. So, and see how that goes. So we started our homesteading journey, and nothing I really do is linear. Like, I can't pinpoint one single thing and say this is why we did it. So a lot of reasons that we homestead is for control. So I want to know what goes into our food. Specifically, I want to know what doesn't go into our food. I would prefer to avoid all sorts of herbicides, pesticides, insecticides. I like to consider myself above or beyond organic. So I try to use even the pesticides and herbicides that are recommended for organic use, I try and stay away from. There's a saying in the gardening world, and it goes something along the lines of plant one for the blackbird, one for the crow, one for the cutworm, and one to grow. In my particular situation, it's more like plant 50 for the chickens and 50 for us, and we might get some to our kitchen. So I am always a work in progress. We are always evolving. As you guys can hear my chickens back here, I free range them, and that's not necessarily great for my gardening. I've got a lot of birds. We currently have around 50 chickens. It would be near to impossible for me to catch them all and clip their wings. So I just let them be chickens. That's important to me, is that they're able to do what chickens do. And so because of that, I take a lot of losses. And it's very sad. And in fact, this year has been one of my biggest years as far as losses go across the board. And it's been discouraging. And it points to the fact that we're always in evolution. Our system's always being tweaked. I recognize problems and we go from there and see if we can come up with some solutions that work not only for us, but our animals. So this greenhouse is one of those things in our arsenal that I'm hoping that I can grow some food that my chickens can't get to. So as part of our American dream, as we decided that we were going to start growing a garden. My kids go to a Montessori school. They have an organic garden there. We learned all about farm to table. And it was exciting to me, as I wanted that. I'm a plant lover. And so our homestead started long before I knew it was a homestead. And it started with a garden. We originally gardened at our business because it's a big fenced-in property. We have lots of pests. Deer was a concern here. We didn't want to put up a fence around our property. So it just seemed like a quick and easy fix for, I wanted a garden. We had some land. It had a fence. So that's where we went. It wasn't necessarily ideal because all of my free time is not when I'm at work. And so as we started our actual homesteading, we decided that it would be smart to move the garden home. And not only for that reason, but I found that because we have our livestock at home, I was hauling poop to work. And if you know you're a dedicated homesteader when you load up 5-gallon buckets full of poop and drive it with you for your garden. So I don't know if you guys can see. I made this dirt. This is exciting stuff for me. I live in an area where we don't have dirt. We don't really have soil. We have clay and we have rock. And you have essentially everything you need in order to build your own, grow your own dirt on a homestead if you've got livestock. And this doesn't take too long. It just took me maybe 6 months to create dirt this beautiful. I'm going to show you guys because this is good dirt. So, can you see that? I made that. Isn't that exciting? So, your priorities change when you become a homesteader. Your views about a lot of things change as a homesteader. So, I am not ashamed to say, but being part of the work in progress and always an evolution, I fell for the American dream. In our 20s, we thought we had it all figured out. We thought we knew what we were doing. We bought the home. It was during the housing bubble. We decided that we wanted to move. We wanted to have some land. We wanted our kids to be able to run around and have all the freedom that I had as a kid, so that they didn't have to worry about things like sexual predators. Not that they don't exist where we are. It's just we've got a little buffer around us that they can have some freedom of movement. And we really wanted that for our kids. And so we decided that we wanted to move rurally. It was during the housing bubble. Our home in the city sold. We actually had 4 offers on our home before it officially hit the market. We thought we were living high on the hog. So we bought a house. We were actually pre-approved for a mortgage that was more than 4 times what we were willing to spend on a home. And that's kind of a scary situation because all of a sudden your dreams grow. And instead of seeing what you can actually afford, you start falling for the bigger dream. You want to keep up with the Joneses. You think, oh my goodness, I could have this huge home. And even our mortgage broker thought we were a little crazy because we said, we don't want a home that size. We don't want those. I said, I might be able to afford the mortgage payments, but we want luxuries like electricity and furniture and to be able to buy clothes for our kids. And even with that mentality, it's still easy to get in over your head. I can tell you the ugly truth that if you carry debt, you don't own it. The debt owns you. And that's not a fun situation to be in. We're not debt free. We're working on it. As we loosely follow the Dave Ramsey method, and he's got 7 baby steps to get debt free. And we're currently on step number 2. And forward progress is better than no progress. But I can tell you that in life, shift happens. Where you are today may not be where you are a year from now. And if you're in debt, that's not a self-sustainable place to be. It doesn't take much of a hiccup in the system. All it takes is getting sick for a little while. For whatever reason, your job may no longer be there. As I know you guys know that I am connected to Julie over at Dirt Patch Heaven. I started following her channel when she was still homesteading, and like true homesteading. So I know that she is working on her way back onto the homestead, but she's had a lot of shift in her life too, and it started because her husband was injured. And honestly, guys, that could happen to any of us at any point in time. So we take our health for granted. We just assume that we're going to keep on chugging forever, and that's not the case. As I see family members of mine that will have to work pretty much until they die. And that's not where I want to be. That idea really scares me. And so homesteading to some degree has offered us some freedom. As we have had some shift in our life over the last couple of years, we've had to take some pay cuts. And it's been scary because we do have a debt load. And so looking at it, we've got some work to do on our end. But at the time, we had been several years into homesteading, and I looked at my husband and I said, well, at least we know we can feed our family. At least we know that we can go in the backyard and we've got something of substance. I mean, it's real. You can look at it, you can touch it, you can see it, you can feel it. It's real. Where if you go into debt, it's not the same as the realness of owning it outright. As every month, we're a slave to our dollar. And that's not a fun place to be. I would love to work less. One of the Dave Ramsey philosophies is get a bigger shovel. And I have taken that to heart. Not only am I working on my shovel, I am working on a snowplow. And so you guys hear me talk about being a busy working mom. And so I hold down multiple jobs. I have a full-time job. I have a part-time job. I write a newspaper column. I do farmers markets every week. I sell soap. I mean, I am hustling. I call myself a homestead hustler. And I do it kind of as a cuteness, kind of as a snarkiness, but I'm totally and completely honest. I am hustling for this homestead. And I would prefer to hustle a little less. I have a good friend who tells me not to call myself a hustler. He says it gives off a negative connotation. But in all honesty, that is the best description that I have for myself. And so, following the Dave Ramsey philosophy, I'm working on my shovel. And that too is part of this YouTube journey, is I'm bringing you guys along on the hustle. And I hope that you guys get something of value out of this. I hope that you guys are able to glean information that helps you. I am struggling as a parent. I've got 2 teenage daughters. My oldest is in college. And she's been expressing some concerns on her end about the American dream. And she says that she's not exactly sure she wants to buy into the system. And as a parent, I don't really know how to recommend it for her to proceed. As I want her to be conscientious of her debt load. I know that there is plenty of ways to make money out there that don't involve a college education, but she's on a good path and she's making some good choices. But her choices will put her in debt. And she's aware of that. I'm aware of that. And it's kind of a sad and scary thing. So she's made the comments like, Mom, so you tell me that we have to pay all sorts of money to get an education so that we can get into a system where we pay all sorts of taxes until we die? And I look at her and I'm like, you've got it, baby girl. And she says, well, that doesn't make sense. And I'm not sure that I want to go down this path. I'm not sure how to counsel her from there. But I tell her, look at what we've got. Make your choices accordingly. Don't base your life, don't base your failures and your successes on others. Use yourself as your standard of measure. Because if you're basing your life on what others have, first of all, a lot of times it's fictitious. What you see people presenting to the world isn't reality. As I was listening to Dave Ramsey's daughter today, and she made the comment that debt makes us look a lot better than we actually are. And oh my goodness, how true is that? If you could pinpoint people and say, wow, they've really got it together, chances are really good that they don't. And I think that I would fall into that category. I try my best to keep it all together. Reality is that sometimes things are falling apart. And I'm just struggling to get by. And I have equated us, not us personally, but humans, as we are no different than cavemen. So cavemen woke up in the morning and they fought for their survival. They fought for their survival that day. They foraged, they hunted. And our striving for survival looks a little different. We get in a car and we go to a job, and then we get paid our income, which then we turn around and put that into food and shelter. Really no different. It just looks different. And so as you're going on, if you're at a point where you can make choices, I would highly recommend that you question yourself if it involves debt. I would strongly suggest that you pass on luxuries if you can't truly afford them. As we are now at a point in time where we're starting to sacrifice. We're giving up luxuries because we cannot justify them. I'm able to look at my life and say, am I really willing to work today in order to pay for that tomorrow? And oftentimes my answer is no. So, well, I hope that you guys got something interesting in this video and something of value. I am kicking off, I'm doing a 30-day keto challenge. And so Thursday I'm going to be doing my first keto meal. And I plan on making better than crack rabbit. So I hope you guys join me then. I hope you have a great day today. If you could like, share, and subscribe, I would appreciate it. So thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.